Hello, my name is Deal. I play bass with Darkest Hour, and this is my bass rig. This is my bass guitar. This is an ESP Vintage 4. I use Seymour Duncan pickups in all of my basses. My favorite pickups are these. This is the SPB2, which is the hot vintage model. Every P bass that this style bass that I have that has P bass pickups in it, this is always in there. This is an STK J2, which is a hot jazz bass pickup that's a stacked humbucker. This isn't actually hooked up in here. It's just for decoration. I vastly prefer and almost always use the middle pickup on my bass and simplify the controls always. I prefer passive electronics and pickups. I don't use, with Darkest Hour, my focus is getting something that's like really bright and present and grindy sounding, so I don't need any extra electronics getting in the way of my sound. Also, when you only have one huge knob, it's easy to find where it is. There are a few songs that have clean bass passages, and to achieve that sound, what I generally do, I play with a pick for the majority of Darkest Hour heavy metal distortion parts. These are 1mm like Tortex style picks that are made by In Tune guitar picks. This is called a Grip X, so 1mm. So I'm playing with a pick 95% of the time at least. And when I switch to a clean sound, like in the bridge of 1,000 Words to Say But One, or Tunguska has a short, clean passage, what I'll do is roll the volume knob down just a little bit to like halfway or 3/4, somewhere in there, and then I'll play with my finger instead of using the pick. So it softens the sound, brings the gain down. So I have distortion running all the time, but that's how I clean it up, and then roll it back up and flip the pick out to go back to distortion. So that's how I change my sound. Normally this style would have a 250K volume pot. I put a 500K in there too to get that extra zing on the top, so, and then straight to the output. So it's a very simple electronics rig, and that's what I like. I don't like fooling around with batteries. As far as strings go, Ernie Ball strings on everything. I'm tuned in drop C tuning, so it's C, G, C, F, and I use basically the easiest way to get this string set is by using a hybrid Slinky 4-string set and replacing the 4th string, the 105, with a 130. So I've got 45, 65, 85, 130 on these, so this is a big guy. This bass is called Madonna, and Madonna is my favorite of all time. I'm not fooling around about this. So this is my backup bass. This is an ESP E2 GB4 bass, and hopefully I do use this as my main bass sometimes, but I chose to use Madonna for this one. This bass's nickname is Strawberry Shortcake, by the way. All my basses are pink too. What's different about this one is that this one has Seymour Duncan NYC bass pickups. So this one, both pickups are actually hooked up. Each pickup is wired in series, and then it goes to the 3-way switch, and as you can see, I generally still use this pickup most of the time. One volume knob again. This one has a maple fingerboard, which is actually my preference. I prefer, most of my basses have maple fingerboards. It just so happens that that one has a rosewood board. But generally I prefer maple. And again, everything passive on here. Super simple, there's nothing in there. Simple, I like it simple. All right, starting at the top, I had been using Mesa Boogie Subway D800 amps for the past several years, but unfortunately mine broke on the last tour and I didn't have time to fix it in between tours. So Aaron Dahlback from Be Well was generous enough to lend me this orange Terror bass, and I've used these amps before. I love them. I like this Class D style amp because they're portable and super easy. Back in the day, I played 300 watt all tube bass amps for a long time, but I gotta tell you, I'm tired of carrying those things around. And this thing sounds great. I love these amps. As far as settings go, I've got a tiny little bass boost, a little mid cut, a little treble boost, and I mean, this is just basically the foundation for what's happening down here on my pedal board. I've got a Line 6 wireless receiver. This is my tuner. It's a CC Electronics Polytune. This is an absolutely essential piece of gear right here. Not for this particular tour because every song that we're playing is in drop C tuning, but before I had this pedal, there was an intermediate gap where I had a Digitech bass whammy pedal that allowed me to change my tunings a little bit. But before that, I was carrying around multiple basses tuned to different tunings because we have a lot of songs that are in drop A sharp or like drop B. And then as time has gone on, we've had like a few more tunings as well. And it would just be ridiculous to have basses set and switch between every song and carry around a bass for one song. It's really nice to keep the same string feel and tension on the bass itself because it's always tuned exactly the same and it's set up the way that I want it to. So the bass always feels exactly the same. And I change my tunings with this Digitech drop pedal. So if I need to go down a step, a whole step, whatever, I can just dial that in. And I use this all the way up to 2 steps down in the set. Inner Oblivion off of Godless Prophets, for example, is 4.5 steps down. Finally, this is my distortion pedal DI. This is an MXR bass DI. And basically what I've got, this is again always set dirty, and I don't generally step on, the only things that I really step on here are these two during the set. And so this is where all of my dirt is coming from. There's a noise gate in here. You can blend the dirty signal with the clean signal. So as you can see, this is a fairly aggressive setting. I've got a lot of gain. The trigger is set pretty hard because with this much gain, you're getting kind of noisy. And as I said, the amp itself is not 100% clean either, but it's not like super dirty. And then, yeah, you can see here I've dialed in the settings a little bit more with a treble boost and a slight bass boost and a little bit of a mid cut. And this is my old Ampeg cab. As you can see, this thing has been through it. There's no Tolex left on this side over here. And there's, we're starting to run a little ragged here. I prefer 8-10-inch speakers for bass personally. I don't like mixing and matching speaker like, a 410 and a 15 or whatever. I like to have all the same speakers, and 810s without a horn are by far my favorite cabinet for playing distorted bass through. Thanks for checking out my gear and going through my rig with me. Darkest Hour is working on our new record, which hopefully we'll be recording within the next several months. So keep an eye out for that. You can get more information about Darkest Hour and follow our Patreon for neat little exclusive songs and little pins and wall flags and all sorts of cool stuff. So check out Darkest Hour Patreon.